Kia ora koutou te whānau. Welcome back to Bright Kiri News, the Friday edition of Big Kiri News, with myself, Luna, as well, and Magenta. How you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to not have to wear a hat today. I hate wearing hats inside. My hair is free, my head is free, and it's Friday. Who isn't so excited it's Friday? Everybody.
Yay! End of the week.
Yes.
We love. Anything excited planned for the weekend?
We're gonna be playing some Settlers of Catan tomorrow.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a hot minute, so I'm low-key jonesing for a bit of Catan, so I'm pretty excited for that. Yeah. You know, like, I mean, there's only so many 2-player games you can play at home. It's nice to be able to get together with your mates and just play some random shit. Might play some Flip 7 if you haven't played Flip 7. It's an awesome card game. Smosh Games have played it a lot and it is hilarious. Very good game. Very simple too. Yeah.
Put it on my list. Very cool.
How about yourself? You're getting up to anything this weekend?
Hoping to finish my shed tomorrow.
Ooh,
that would be nice. I need a third pair of hands, so fingers crossed we'll find someone to help us out tomorrow, seeing it's the weekend. And once that's done, I can start to shift some of this stuff into the shed. And then I've somehow got to get an air mattress in here for someone to stay. So
the boxes move and the air mattress moves in.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very busy day tomorrow, methinks. So, yes, I look forward to all of that. But, yes, I am building a shed, Kiwi Burb. I got many sideways looks from some of the younger people that I skate with, because they're sort of like in their early 20s, sort of just coming through into their 20s. Babies. And they all kind of just looked at me like, why are you building a shed? And I'm like, because I need a shed. And they're like, but like, why are you building it? Can't you just like get one delivered? And I'm like, no, it's like twice the price.
I was going to say, you got shed money?
Have you got a fully built shed and delivered to your property kind of money? Because that's the thing. Easier to build it yourself. Cheaper to build it yourself, that's for sure. So it's not a sleep out. It is literally a storage shed because I don't have a carriage. So
I mean, hey, whatever you can do to help keep everything nice and dry and safe.
Yes, pretty much. Our bikes are starting to rust quite some, so very looking forward to not. Yeah, and having to get them out from under a tarpaulin and then the bungees and then bunging them back up and then it's just, can't wait to just
rigmarole.
Shove it in the shed, bring it out of the shed, all that fun stuff. So yes, that's my fun day tomorrow in house ownership, building a shed.
Hell yeah.
But I'll acknowledge the fun and the privilege for sure. Right.
Sounds fun.
We got we got a big episode actually today. Unfortunately, it's been a much bigger news day than yesterday. Of a nothing today. I found some stuffs. So we've got obviously the big talk continues.
I did see that.
Christopher Luxon, is he getting rolled? So we have a quick look at that, but like honestly, it's the same shit as always. It's a new poll. The polling says the National is still in the 20s. There's a little bit of shift here and there. The trend's not great for them. What are they going to do? But Spinoff did a lovely little 100-hour they call it the 100-hour gauntlet that could decide whether Luxon survives as a PM. So he's got quite a busy couple of days before it sounds like Tuesday's caucus. So we'll just do a little read through that because I think that's quite fun
doesn't he have a lot of support from that caucus?
He's got two lovely little PR lines that have sprung up today, and I'll play you through the RNZ's coverage of the press conference he had today. And honestly, no one in that press conference cared about what he was actually doing there, which was cutting the tape to like a plumbing manufacturing something or other facility. Straight off the bat, every single question was, are you getting rolled? Are you getting rolled? Are you getting rolled?
Right.
So
it was great. I loved that.
But there's another one in there as well, which you'll really enjoy. Another little PR thing that he's picked up. Then I saw that James Meager sat down with Mihingarangi Forbes.
Yes, I haven't
this
watched
episode
that
actually
yet.
came out yesterday, but I thought we'd cover it today. Just missed it. Again, I think you're all going to start throwing knives at me because lo and behold, I'm kind of in the camp. Don't hate him, don't love him. I wouldn't vote for him, but I can understand what people do. So I think it's worth going to have a look at, especially because of the specifically some of the questions that Mihi asks around being Māori, but being a national, having the upbringing that he has, and why he's leaned towards the centre-right, that sort of thing, which I think is important to look at. And I think it actually kind of gave me a new lease, I want to say new lease on life, a new perspective I guess a reaffirmed perspective of people who end up being national MPs in that kind of space, and it kind of all starts to add up again. You're like, yeah, I can see how you'd end up on that side of things. And maybe some centrism does exist out there, and maybe we should consider that. I don't know. So everyone can tell me I'm a fucking simp for James Meager.
I was gonna say you also just said centrism's okay, so it's alright. I might have a meme or two to recover for you.
I'm fucked. I'm fucked. And the last thing we should look at as well, which kind of missed, I think, everyone's radar, to be honest, is it was a press release actually. It came out about 2 days ago, and it was I'm on Duncan Webb's mailing list, and he mentioned it, and I was like, excuse me. So it turns out the Labour government actually had a fuel security plan to upgrade Marsden Point to hold more fuel storage. The government, as soon as they got in, guess what they did?
What did they do?
They scrapped it.
Wow.
So we're going to do a little
surprising.
We're going to do a little back to the future, I guess, in a weird way, because apparently it's back, and look at the timeline from a 2022 perspective, just after the fuel shortage of thanks to Russia invading Ukraine, and looking at the article that Stuff had done then, and some really interesting weird parallels of like 2026, and then reading an article from 2022, and it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling, and I think you're all going to enjoy it. So we're going to do a little backwards look at the shitstorm that was.
We're going to go on the way back machine, guys.
Yes. Speaking of the way back machine, we might also have to talk about that as well. So we got a fuck ton of stuff to talk about.
Right, let's get into it.
But before we do, as always, we do need to say a big thank you to our patrons over at patreon.com/BigHeroNews. If you'd like to join us, head over there. You can become a member for as little as $5 a month. If you'd like to support us sort of in the long term, then the best way you can do it is through Patreon. It's a big thank you to all you guys that we can bring you this show 5 nights a week, and we can fill in for Pat on a Thursday, and everything all runs smoothly. Nothing breaks, hopefully. Sometimes, just a webcam or two.
Yeah.
Every now and then. But yeah, if you'd like to join us, you can head over there. Big thank you to all you guys. You're amazing. You can also go to bhn.nz and get all the wonderful things, the lovely links, our other podcasts, which we can promo some of those coming up, as well as our shop is here as well. So you can buy yourself some lovely merchandise to share your leftiness with the wider world. You can put these lovely two on a hoodie, or you could put the 4 of us on a hoodie, and
it's pretty cool.
Kind of cool.
Pretty good
Cool.
one.
With our hot item at the moment being the Ditch the Pricks in 26.
My current
I might
favourite.
have to start wearing this myself if you guys thinking I'm simping, just to make
Yeah,
sure you guys know
actually.
where I sit.
Better wear your own design.
That one's actually not mine. That is courtesy of the wonderful Mrs. Pat. She did an amazing job with that one.
Hell yeah.
So that's one of her lovely creations. And also there's some enamel pins, Ditch the Pricks enamel pins, which are coming. I think they're coming to the store on Monday. So
they're on their way.
Don't miss out on that. And the last little thing before we go is the little advertise with BHN, which is newly put onto the website. So if you are in contact with any businesses, maybe some people that are wanting to change things up, are not afraid to get political, and have a reasonable amount to support us, then you can check out all the numbers and things over here. You can point them to this page, and there's a email link for them to reach out if that's what they're looking to do. Honestly, our numbers are fantastic. Don't let the others the best numbers. Don't let those haters tell you otherwise. Speaking of great numbers, actually.
Oh, I thought you were going to say speaking of haters. I was like, oh no, what happened?
Oh, it does. Tons of those.
Yeah.
Can I share this with you or not? Can I share this with you? Save to device. Save to downloads. I have a great little image for you.
Oh yeah.
Which I just missed. I missed it by a hair. I was so gutted. Went to our channel page earlier today. Hovered over a little thing, and I was like, 22,000 subscribers exactly.
Oh, we got it!
Oh my god!
Yes. We've been so close for a bit. That's awesome.
And then I was 3 off.
Ah, missed it by that much. That's
there
awesome.
You go.
Well, shout out,
cool, guys.
22K. Let's go.
That's an amazing achievement. I've been watching that just inch by ever so slowly over the last wee while. So huge thank you to all the current, the oldies, the currents, the newbies, for your support in making this little channel grow. And it's only going to get bigger because it's election year. And what do we talk about on here?
Yeah, a little
Politics.
too much. A little too much. There's always something going on, isn't there?
Yeah. So, yeah, wonderful days. Okay, shall we jump in?
Where we
do
starting?
The thing? We'll start with the. Do we start with the? Oh, we'll just start with the Luxon. It's not, honestly, there's not much to talk about. I'll just play the TV3 story through for you guys. And we'll have a quick wee discussion, but I do want to show you the actual press conference itself because it's quite hilarious just to watch him say the same thing over and over again.
No, I'm down. I've already watched at least probably one of these videos before, and I'm down to watch it again because it's hilarious.
It's good fun to watch him squirm. It's good fun. Well, actually, no, he's not squirming, but yep, you'll see. It's the Luxon squirm. It's a different kind of squirmy squirm.
Oh my, hi my, welcome to 3 News. Christopher Luxon's leadership is under scrutiny again after new polling showed National on 29% support with just over 6 months until the election. The Talbot Mills poll obtained by Stuff puts Labour out in front on 36%,
Let's go.
while New Zealand First has climbed to 15%. Speculation is mounting the Prime Minister could face a potential leadership challenge in the next fortnight when politicians return to Parliament next week. Here's political correspondent Zane Small.
You're doing a great job around the country. I'm voting for you. Thank you.
A positive start to the day for Christopher Luxon as he toured a brand new factory in Pōkeno. The Prime Minister was invited to cut the ribbon on the new All-Proof Industries facility that manufactures plumbing products.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But that could well be Luxon counting down his days as PM. The new Talbot Mills poll showing national support has dropped 3 points to 29%, while
There you go. Still there.
I keep on falling in the polls.
We need that as a soundbite. That would be great. I would love to know if they've actually broken 30% this year. We're 4 or 5 months in, and if any of the polls, I think there might have been one that was sitting right on 30.
Yeah, maybe just in the beginning of the
29.8.
year.
But yes, and I don't know if it shows the trend in this one, but are we surprised? The one I am surprised about is the New Zealand First. I'll keep playing through.
Labour has gained a point on 36%. New Zealand First has shot up 4 points to 15%. ACT is on 8, while the Greens have shed 4 points to 7%.
So there's been a little bit of chatter as well about the Greens dropping from they were hovering at like 10 to 12, depending on the poll, and ACT was sitting at like 7 or something. But people were like, why have the Greens dropped? And obviously we're all coping and just being like, meh, I don't care about the polls. And I'm just like, well, yeah, of course we're saying that because we've dropped, us Green supporters, it is. The thing that I find probably most, I mean, this is shocking, but this definitely says to me that they're moving from National to New Zealand First, which I don't know if I'm happier they're doing that, or I'd be happier if they moved to ACT. But I think ACT is a hell of a lot more dangerous than New Zealand First.
Yeah, nah.
So
if I'm
kind
have to
of
pick
like,
one, yeah.
I don't love it, but
In the game of between New Zealand First and ACT, yeah, like it's.
I guess
it's
the bars in hell.
Hairs, exactly.
The bars in hell. I don't know if I love them at 15%.
The gatekeeper. Fuck.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not surprised they're gone up. Like, they're doing a lot. I mean, Luxon's leaving a vacuum, you know. He's led such a weak government that, like, Winnie can just come in and start fucking hoovering shit up without even really trying.
What I do find really interesting about this, though, is that I'm starting to see top. Well, it's technically no longer top, it's actually opportunities, so maybe it should be changed to OPP, but
to op.
OPP would be probably more accurate. But yeah, they're starting to show up now in polling as well. So, and honestly, I think Opportunity Party is actually doing kind of well at the moment, going from like a kind of disappeared party to like rising in the polls quite quickly. I'm not mad. That actually, now that I think about it, that could be where some of this is going. I don't know if that's correct, or it could be even this. It could be Te Pāti Māori. There could be some going to Opportunity at the moment. Maybe they're feeling more opportunity. I don't know. Personally, don't know, but interesting to see they're actually starting to show up. And also higher than Te Pāti Māori, which is, I think, kind of sad. Again, this could also just be whoever takes the Talbot Mills research poll, which, again, that also has something to do with the numbers. So, all with a grain of salt. Speculation, no more.
On these numbers, the coalition would remain in power.
Prime Minister, I know you don't like to talk about polls, but 29% isn't looking so good when we've got the election quite close, and that could mean that you lose MPs. So would you consider...
If we had an election today, this government would be reinstated.
But that's because of New Zealand First, right? Because they're doing really well.
National has work to do, no doubt about it, and we're well aware of that, and that's what we're working hard to do.
It was only a month ago when the Prime Minister was said to be shaken by a Taxpayers Union Courier poll that had National on 28.4%. And this latest poll shows that since then the party's support hasn't really improved, even when the government has been front and centre responding to the fuel crisis.
Allproof Industries manufactures plumbing products with PVC, which is affected by the fuel crisis.
PVC is derived from oil, essentially.
The PN's presence was appreciated.
As you can see,
as preferred Prime Minister, Luxon's 20% support in the poll is behind his Labour Party opponent's 23%. And Winston Peters is closing in on 15%.
Those numbers are not that far apart, and I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean,
this says to me this is a three-way split, which is interesting. Like I'm feeling three-way split with this, like, which would be kind of unprecedented.
Far too close to, but I mean, I also do kind of feel like it's partially just a testing the heat of the moment kind of vibes that are going on.
That's true.
We've seen Tane Randall announcing that he'll be running with, New Zealand First. Winston Peters has been saying a lot in general. And I mean, given how, again, I think Christopher's just leaving... He's leaving everything open, and he's made it easy. He's just made it easy. Like, usually Winston has to put in a lot more effort than this to start climbing in the polls. And I think that a lot of it is down to Luxon having a shit government, and maybe Labour's, not doing enough. I think I'm holding space for Labour, but it feels like maybe some of the decisions that are being made aren't necessarily the best, and they're not capitalising on this vacuum that Christopher Luxon's left for Winston Peters. And then obviously when it comes to the Greens and polls, I honestly tend to side on that it feels like the Greens are often underestimated in the polls almost always.
Also probably underrepresented in the taking of the poll as well.
That too.
Where do I take this poll? Where can I, how do I participate in this poll? Who is taking these polls and who is getting questioned? It doesn't surprise me that you're seeing Winnie at 15% if that's who they're able to get a hold of. But yeah, so again,
pretty
trends, the vibe, all of that stuff. But that's all I wanted to show from that particular article. But I will show you this because it is hilarious to watch. And that's Luxon's. I'll play it at can I play it at multiple speed? I think I can, but even in the first few seconds, you can see his two newest talking points. His new PR spin, his new highly paid, highly trained, very well up there, newest leader of his PR team, is doing some great work. And you've got two new little slogans.
Yay.
That we can point to. Are we excited about that? Just enjoy.
Good investment in New Zealand and supporting the building construction industry. But with that, happy to take any questions. Secure. Sorry? Oh, I have the support of my caucus.
You don't really need to hear the questions.
So we'll take questions one at a time. Let's be respectful, everybody. I don't need to. I have the support of my caucus. No, I have the full support of my caucus.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Let's talk. So we're respectful of everybody, right, Amelia?
Thanks, Dad.
He says it 3 times. You don't really need to hear what the questions are because guess what the answers are.
I have the full support of my
that's just
caucus.
wrong. I was with Stuart Smith all of Tuesday in North Canterbury, travelling with him in his electorate all day.
This is his whip.
I was with Stuart all day Tuesday and it was not race at all. No.
That was about him dodging his whip meeting as well.
Well, I'm confident I have the numbers and I am confident I have the support of my caucus. Because I know that I have the support of my caucus. Thank you. Sorry, Amelia?
Wow.
I talk to my caucus all the time. I'm very confident I have the full support of my caucus.
Oh, it continues on.
Is the caucus in the room with us?
I don't know.
Yeah. If we had an election today, this last question, Amelia, let's go. Sorry, can you be respectful of the other journalists that are here? No, you're talking over the top of Amelia. Sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
As I said to you, I have the full support of my caucus. Right. Amelia, last question.
Questions in the background. So did you pick up what his 2 new things were?
You know what? I don't think I could actually figure it out, eh? It was very subtle. I think it was very subtle. Maybe something about a caucus. That word may have been mentioned.
The full support, in fact, of his caucus.
Support.
And what was the quiz post? Was it the quiz on the spot quiz for you? What they do in the classroom?
Quiz.
Pop quiz. That's the one. What's the second one there, Magenta? What was the second little talking point that he seems to have picked up?
Oh, now I feel like I'm actually going to fail the quiz.
So do you remember, just cast your mind back to quite a few weeks ago where there was a bit of a kerfuffle in the, what do they call it, the little auditorium, the press thing? They have the theaterette.
Oh, theaterette, yeah.
The theaterette in which Luxon had probably the single worst performance in front of the media, in which he I can't even remember what it was because there's so many of them, but he fumbled and fucked up about something. And he later had to correct himself a little bit, and then his blame was, well, everyone was talking over each other, so like I couldn't understand. And then suddenly all of his press conferences started with now if we could just be respectful and go one after the other and just take our time there. It was literally said almost, I think it was 3 to 4 times in that 5 minutes. Where he did the same thing. Hey guys, I just did one at a time. I just need to stop being respectful, to stop talking over each other. That has been persistent now through a lot of these.
Well, actually, if you bring the video back up, just have it on mute. There's actually one thing that slightly bothers me about the video. I can't remember the lady who keeps hounding him with the awesome questions. I think it's near the beginning of the video, right in the beginning. Like, go to the beginning.
Oh, the beginning?
Yeah. It's pretty early on because it's when she's moving into the frame more. And you'll notice someone just grabs her shoulder and moves her. Which, like, I personally don't love. Lisa Owen, that's the one. Yeah, see here, right here.
Oh, is it Lisa Owen?
Yeah, it's Lisa Owen.
Oh, no. In fairness, Lisa Owen is RNZ. So it'll be, and this is the RNZ camera. So it's the RNZ staff that pulled her aside. So, yes, yeah. No,
still.
Just...
Didn't love
and then
it,
they
but
moved forward because
that just he kept being very, very. Come on. It's like, mate, she's asking you hard questions and you don't like it.
Yeah. So that was a fun watch today because I didn't even need to hear the questions because, to be fair, there weren't really any answers. It was the same line repeated. So, yeah.
He has the full support of his caucus, and that definitely comes across as very confident and very reassuring that he definitely has it. Definitely.
So Spinoff have done a lovely little timeline for us. So the next few days are going to be really interesting for Luxon. Once again, the questions remain. What's going on? What are these rumors? Blah, 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 blah. So the 100-hour gauntlet that could decide whether Luxon survives as PM. Is this the final straw? I don't know. We've said this about 3 times this year. I don't know how close they can get to the election before they go, no, fuck it, we're out. We're picking someone else. You're out, dude. So 7 moments across the coming days that may prove pivotal. So we've got 12:15 p.m. today. We had the media stand-up, which was horrific. 9 a.m. on Sunday, Q&A with Jack Tame. Chris Bishop. So that could be very interesting. And Tova and Jack actually had a conversation this morning on breakfast about this. So, yes, which was basically saying they've been trying to get this interview for a while. It's mostly going to be about him and his giant portfolios. The Easter reshuffle and not being the campaign manager, all that sort of stuff as opposed to, but obviously the question will come up about him contesting the leadership. But very unlikely given his workload still. And then evening on Sunday, you've got the kitchen cabinet. So this is Luxon's most trusted lieutenants typically catch up to get their ducks in line for the week to come. He calls it the brains trust, as Luxon calls it.
This like includes, the lack of brains.
I have no idea what the fuck a brains trust is. Bishop, Simeon, Paul Goldsmith, Louise Upston, and of course Nicola Willis. And Nicola Willis returning from DC, so that should be very interesting. Then 7:15, you've got the Monday media round. So this is again with Tova on breakfast.
I love Tova.
Who's apparently just kind of been having very jovial conversations, and he just keeps fucking it up. So she's like, "This is an easy job."
Right?
Very depressive. Then on 4 p.m. on Monday, you've also got the post-cabinet press conference, which always goes swimmingly. And then 6 p.m. on Monday, we're expecting a One News Varian poll. So that could be interesting. Then 10 a.m. on Tuesday is the first caucus. So
he will feel very supported on Tuesday then, I'm sure.
He is, because he has the full support of his caucus, guys.
Yes.
Stop questioning him. He's got the full support of his caucus. Although that's interesting because, and I haven't got the clip, unfortunately, I was watching the Tova and Jack. Not really. It was an interview with Jack. It was just a conversation with Jack, who obviously is Jack Tame, does Q&A, talking about the upcoming interview. And Tova was saying that the sources coming from within the National Party So there are rumours circling within the National Party about, they don't want to take away from the current crises, which is the fuel crises. So they're kind of conservative about what they're doing, but they're also like, we kind of need to get rid of this guy. So the rumours are circulating. They're obviously making their way out into the media.
Oh, yeah.
So they're clearly there and substantiated, because they're not just going to pull shit out of a hat.
I got a video meme for us about with that clip, if you like. I can bring it up.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I
Yes.
do. Of course.
So
of course I do.
These aren't just random rumours. They're coming from somewhere. And there's going to be a tipping point at some point where they have to get rid of him. I do not see how they can go comfortably into the election. One, with these terrible numbers, but two, with so much swirling around his leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
Like just constant attacks on his leadership, to the point where the media is like not just speculating, they're like waiting. They're like any little bit they bite, and they're like got their teeth in it. They're just like, it's relentless.
I mean,
and if I was the National Party, I'd be freaking out, going, "Oh, fuck me, I guess." At least we get a better leader. I guess I'll just resign myself to winning my electorate and then being in opposition, which you've heard. You've heard from some of these MPs who are currently sitting in government saying, "I might not be in, so I guess I just have to win my seat." Damn, that's defeatist. You poor people. Not really. I mean, national, but this one.
They're basically swimming with the sharks at the moment. Even the slightest sniff of blood, and they should know this. This is their job to know this. They've had years. They knew this was coming. They knew 2026 was coming. They've clearly done nothing to prepare for it. I mean, are we surprised? No. Look at the last 3 years of government or so. Like, yeah, he's left too much on the board. And I think the same way we were talking about it last week, I think Chris Pink is being brought in as a backup, so that the second that they're going to pull the fucking ripcord of, like, break the glass in an emergency, and they're going to pull out the Pink. Like, that's what my money's on. And, if they get to that point, Jacinda got put in very close to D-Day herself. We could see something much like that.
The only difference being is that was in opposition. So this is quite a bit different. You're basically saying the current Prime Minister, after one term, 3 weeks into the election, we're just going to can him. That really does not scream confident government to me.
That's very embarrassing, actually. I mean, to be fair, I think
they're fucked every way.
This whole government's been an embarrassment. They're just, I'll chuck this on. We'll have this is just a bit of a chop. It's horrible resolution of size and everything, but we deal with what we got.
I just think he's lost his mojo. I think he doesn't want to be there.
I talked to a few people in his caucus who I think feel the same way. I talked to a few people in his caucus who I think feel the same way.
I don't want to get that copyright. Yeah, but it just keeps going.
It's Podaka, what the fuck?
I know. But yes, I mean...
Oh, it's funny.
The blood's in the water, and I mean, everyone's noticing it. Like, I feel like each day I'm coming across more and more just actual straight up memes of people being like, man, this guy's a joke. Actually, we've got another Luxon video meme coming up later. Like, that's what I mean. They're in a horrible position, and honestly, they should be worrying. It feels like there's a little bit of flailing. And yeah, I'll be really surprised if they can somehow manage to pull this back. I mean, we're only in April now. We're halfway through April. Like, there is a bit of space to work within, but honestly, I don't think anyone's got confidence in the guy. No one feels like they can relate to him. He clearly doesn't believe half of the words that come out of his own mouth. Like, It's just time for him to move on.
Do you want to see the final thing to wrap the story up? Do you want to see the photo that dominated the front page of the Herald?
This is a meme in my PDF already, so yes, I just seen the picture. I already had this one as well.
Do you just have the photo, or is it memeified?
Slightly memeified. It's just more someone posting it. So where is it? There we go. Yeah, I got a version of it, but either
Okay. So this is the photo that was front page of the Herald. I believe it's the Yeah, no, it's the Herald. It's literally, I'm on the website.
Oh, it's just the picture. Okay, no, I definitely have a better version because there's more. There's more to the story. It isn't just this picture.
It goes deeper. What's the next layer?
This is the line that got put underneath it in the article. Chris Bishop has denied there is a coup happening. I love the way they put that there. Just again, fanning the flames that is the rumor mill around the National Party. So
good fun.
It is a good photo though. Very meme worthy.
Oh, that's gonna haunt him for the rest of his term, I think. I have a feeling.
I don't think it's the last time we'll see it.
Can I please have my... Can I remove this photo? Delete image. There you go. Delete. Done. Cool. All right. Shall we get into some... we'll do a few super chats and then we'll do the memes, eh?
Yeah, sounds good.
I'll set up the next wee bit. 8 Vasta for $5 says Trump bombs civilians in Iran, including a girls' school. Luxon calls it unhelpful. I hate that. Trump hosts AI of himself as Jesus. Luxon called it ridiculous.
The Christianity showing.
He's one of the best Catholics there are, I guess. Is he Catholic or Christian?
Oh, I don't think he's Catholic.
He's a Jesus lover, so I mean,
he's a Christian. Well, he could be Presbyterian. He could be some of the other ones.
It seems odd the Greens are on 7%, but Chloe is on 9%.
Again,
that is a good point.
Always a discrepancy.
Adam McKnight. And again, from 8 Faster for $2 says Tane Randall should be checked for an HIA.
I know what an OIA, but what is an HIA? If someone could let us know in the chat what an HIA is. That acronym is not ringing a bell in my head.
Right. And Mr. Harvard Singers, I just saw that. Ironically, Luxon has no hair to have split ends, but he has 6 months in a leaky boat.
Hey, that's good. Actually, they don't even have a boat that's leaking.
Well, they have plenty of those.
Yeah,
they have plenty of boats that are leaking. Alrighty.
All right.
Memes. While I set this up.
Obviously starting strong with a great meme. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. I'm loving this new kind of, I guess, protest symbol, you could call it. The flaming toilet paper torch to fight the bourgeoisie. Oh yeah, Ems, you have to look at that. Look at this graph. I mean, it's great. This one was inspired by Pete Symes' comment, "Ass Minister's liquid gas promotion" from last night's show. And I love the beautiful imagery that has been created. If you're an audio listener, I highly recommend coming and having a look at this. I don't think I could do it justice. We got the coalition talking to New Zealanders versus talking to America. Very true. This one, pull string action, Christopher Luxon. What I would say to you is, go make a Marmite sandwich or put an apple in a bag. I don't comment on specific polls. I'm wealthy, sorted. My job is the CEO. I'm just entitled to the entitlements. And I guess we added, 2 new ones today. I have the full support of my caucus. And be respectful. You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Trump. Love the crossover. And obviously someone's gone and done edit of the horrible AI photo with Erica Bloody Kirk. I saw another video of that woman crying on stage. So that's all she does these days. This one was buzzy. The concept of going from being the Prime Minister of a country, Canada, to dressing like a frat boy at Coachella, eating noodles on a curb. With Katy Perry, I might add. And yeah, it is weird. Like, that's the ex-Prime Minister of Canada. Just looking like a douchebag. And then we have Sir Difficult. Wanted. He urgently needs vet care. If you see Sir Difficult, please call Koala Rescue Brisbane South. So I know we have some Australian viewers. If you see this koala, please report sightings to the Brisbane South. The beacons are lit. The working class calls for aid. Oh, God. Still can't believe that. No fire suppression system. Yeah. BHN. Home of Gargle My Piss. I can't wait till Chris Hipkins has to vehemently denounce Chewy's words in politics. There we got The Human of New Zealand by good old Ugly Ink. No opinion on anything. Not sad, but also not having any fun either. Room temperature water, no other features. And that's probably a good spot to leave the memes. I've got more if you do need more time.
No, I'm good to go.
Let's go. Oh, head injury assessment. That's what HIA meant. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. You kind of have to put an asterisk and then explain what the full thing is, or just put the full acronym. It's not one I'm familiar with.
No, neither. Maybe TBI. I would have got TBI, but not HIA.
Traumatic brain injury, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Oh, no. Oof.
Yeah.
No, we'll look at that later.
Oh, dear. All right. Shall we look at an interview? We had Mihingarangi Forbes with her show, Mata. Where she has sit down with some very important people, and particularly some of the sitting ministers, and discusses the most important parts of the day. I really enjoy Mihi's interviews. I think he's very good at being, I guess asking adversarial questions, but in a way that's kind of just not. She has a different style, shall we say? She doesn't not ask gentler approach. She doesn't not ask hard questions. She just has a way of framing them, perhaps in a way in which the other person is able to respond. It's not adversarial like some that we see, and I think that's maybe because she has a bit more time to actually sit down and she's having a chat. She doesn't start off sort of with the heavy stuff. She kind of just, gets to understand the person, and then maybe that's how she can form a better conversation and then starts to press a little bit harder towards the end, which this interview that she's done with James Meager is a perfect example of. And I started watching it, Magenta. Started watching it. I was like, oh, this will be interesting, because we've talked about James a few times. Obviously, last week we were talking about Chris Pink. And I was saying he reminds me a lot of James Meager, where it's like, this is a fresh face for National. Maybe they're going to start pushing them up the ranks, Fresh faces with zero controversy because no one's heard of them before. And then suddenly they're, all over our TV screens. But I started watching it. I was like, this will be interesting. And within the first minute, I went, fuck. I hate this because I don't hate this.
No, that's fine. You don't have to hate it. We don't have to hate every single millimeter of National. Just most of it.
So I think this is a great example of someone who I don't think he's an ideologue. He's not someone who comes with very strong views, is what I will say. I can absolutely see why he and Duncan Webb were able to work quite well together on the Treaty Principles Bill the select committee, where James Meager was the chair and then Duncan was the second chair. Like split it in two to get through all of it. And James Meager definitely comes across as someone who's very, very much a guy who's very curious. He's open to different interpretations of things, and he's very much about being not stereotyping people and not wanting to be stereotyped because he is Māori, and he grew up in a single mother household on a benefit and that sort of thing, which typically you would think they would perhaps be going more towards labour and things. So he does address a lot of that. But I'm going to play a few bits here and there. I can't play all of it because, I mean, we don't have time for that. But I'll play a few bits that really stuck out to me. Go and watch it yourselves. You'll see what I mean. But yeah, so we'll have a quick look at the first wee bit, which is the his maiden speech, which apparently got a lot of praise for being quite honest. He did a lot of it in Te Reo, which is kind of cool to see from a national minister. National minister representing Timaru, by the way, guys.
Yeah, no, I just saw that.
Keep that in mind as well. The kind of people that he represents. The other thing in this interview as well is there's a thread throughout it where he's very good at towing the party line, not being offensive with basically anything that he says, but also not being himself. Like, he's very much about the people, the party. And he does get pressed back on that of, like, Mihi's saying, well, there are ministers out there who are sitting and they do express their personal opinion, so what's yours? And he kind of just dances around it. He's very good at dancing around it. But keeping in mind that he also represents quite a conservative part of New Zealand. So that's my little preamble. So let's jump into it. I want to hear your thoughts, Magenta, as well, because I'm sure you got plenty to say as we go through this.
In government is pretty exciting.
I went back and watched your maiden speech. He nui te reo Māori ki roto i tō kauhau tuatahi. There was a lot of te reo Māori. It was beautiful to hear. What does te reo Māori mean to you, and why was it so important that you feathered it through your maiden speech?
Well, I don't speak it anywhere near as well as what a lot of people do, and in fact I speak it pretty rudimentary. I can understand a little bit, but not much at all. And I guess one of the things I wanted to do is reflect a little bit about my background and where I come from, but also, you know, show people that if you try a little bit, I know we're all stressed for time, but if you try a little bit, you can weave it into important parts of your life. I wouldn't say that I use it every day or anywhere near as much as what maybe people would want me to or what I should, but I just thought I'd show a little bit about what is part of me and part of my history.
Did it make your dad proud?
I hope so.
He does talk a wee bit about how he has he's reconnected with his father, who is his Māori side, in later life. It's basically what they're speaking to. But the next wee bit is specifically about the Te Reo as well, and how the government has made a lot of very controversial changes. And this is where I see him towing a line, very much so, because it's a bit confronting to ask the guy why the government's made these very controversial changes. And you can see the kind of language that he uses and how he dances around it. He doesn't... I read into it quite a lot, and I want to know what your opinion is of what he's really saying. Like, there's what he's saying and how he's not trying to offend, and then there's like, what are you really saying? So we'll see what you think.
I hope it made him proud.
Since the maiden speech, you've been part of a coalition making some very deliberate choices around language and treaty policy. Some New Zealanders feel quite upset about the reversal of decades of incremental progress in Māori legislation and recognition. Have any of those decisions been difficult for you personally?
You know, I can understand why some people are questioning some of the decisions the government has made. I think when you analyse a lot of what's been going on, you can find sort of valid reasons why certain parts of the public or the population maybe thought things were changing too quickly, or changing without their ability to have a say on it. So that's been reflected in what the government's tried to do. I haven't necessarily found that difficult. My view has always been, I come from probably more of a background where if you want to do something to improve your life or to change something in your life or in your community, the best way to do that is to do that yourself. And so I think generations of people have shown that through language, that's where the revitalisation has come. And I also acknowledge that the government has a role to play in that, but also the democratic process means you have to reflect what I guess people in the public are or their views on the development of language and whether or not things are moving too quickly and at a pace. And of course the irony is, if you go back a couple of hundred years, incoming governments pushed different languages on different people at a pace that was wrong to do back then as well. So I think there's a bit of a balance there.
What the fuck? Did he just say that? You've got to be kidding me. What the? Oh my god, I'm so glad I hadn't watched this before. Oh. Whew.
So the Pākehā perspective, which is mine.
And his too, I think.
But it could be a bit of... So I think his dual what would you call it, Pākehā Māori dual ancestry perhaps is where he finds a wee bit of the conflict, being Māori in a very white dominated part of the country. Basically anywhere south of Christchurch. But he definitely is very much about the both sides kind of, like, it's a very national kind of thing of like seeing both sides of the argument. But I can see from a Pākehā perspective where he's coming from, but I can definitely see why the Māori perspective perhaps sees that and wants to throw up magenta.
I understand that unfortunately for a lot of our whānau Māori in the south, they have been extra diluted in terms of culture and just general world perspective. So, I tautoko the struggle that is reclaiming language, reclaiming culture, but to then just go, oh, well, I kind of see it, but then just blurts out the same rhetoric, the meritocracy, which tends to be more in line with authoritarianism, trying to be like, well, I believe if, you think you just got to do it, as if it's that simple. I think that is just ignorant. And then to try and bring in the fact that white people forced English on this country, which might not have been a good idea, but somehow we shouldn't try to reclaim and actually integrate the first language of this land. The first laws in this land were in Te Reo Māori. They weren't in English. That took a while, because obviously why would it be in English? Otherwise, half of the country doesn't understand what's being written down. Is so just ignorant, disrespectful, and honestly, my brain is on fire. That is one hell of a take, and I would say it is as spicy as hell, because that's just all forms of, like, I feel like the internalized racism in this brother is very high, and I understand it, but man, that's disappointing but unsurprising. I mean, at the end of the day, he is in the National Party, and whether there can be people in the National Party who are generally good people, sure, but when it comes down to it, our political parties are based in our values and morals, and that's why, unfortunately, we tend to hate most of National, even if we're fine with small bits and pieces and we can agree here and there. From a fundamental perspective, like, the morals and ethics are aligning in a very racist way. And I mean, the comments. Like, forcing a language from colonization versus trying to revitalize a language that was actively attacked through long, like, we're talking since the beginning, the 1840s. They have been slowly putting in more and more things to make this language die. And I think the fact that he was like, oh, do you use it in your everyday life? And he said he doesn't. And that to me shows me that he's not really invested in this kind of journey of reclamation of language, of revitalization, because even though I still don't have, a conversationally fluent level of Te Reo Māori, I am finding every place I can to replace any little everyday word from English to Māori. And it's small things like that that show your real motives and intentions, I think.
There's a interesting question from Mihi about who he's specifically talking about, who's perhaps a little bit dubious or cautious about this very quickly changing landscape in which Te Reo is becoming the I guess no longer non-existent language. It's not even bilingualism. It's sometimes there if we can make it happen, unfortunately. She gets put to him about where is this opposition coming from? Again, I want to put into perspective, he is the MP for Timaru. Or I can't actually remember what the technical name is. Timaru, but it's Rakiora, I think it is. I think it's his actual
like electorate.
So just electorate, yes. So at this moment, he's about to speak to his constituents, because this is not for us, this is for his constituents, in which we all know who he's talking about, but he's saying it in a way in which it might just gloss over their heads. He's hoping, I think, is what he's getting at.
You talk about a group of people who think it might have been moving too quickly. What do you mean by that?
I think probably this will be stereotypical, but it's probably a generation of New Zealanders who haven't been brought up with Te Reo Māori as much as many of us have, and aren't as familiar with it, and don't understand why it's being integrated more into sort of everyday use, particularly when it comes to the news and broadcasts. But I think, I get that raised all the time in my electorate, and I always talk people through the fact that, I ask some questions around, if you were looking at...
This gets really interesting. Do you guys remember Pat had someone on the show end of last year, I think it was, someone from Wales who was talking about the revitalisation of the Welsh language.
Yep.
Do you know what he's about to say? Because this is interesting. Because I looked at it and I went,
I'm scared. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know where this is going, and help! I'm in danger.
This is what he uses to win over his electorate, which I think this is one of the reasons I actually, sorry to say it, I kind of like the guy, because I think this is a smart move by him. Okay? Hear me out.
Language revitalisation in the UK, in Wales, or in parts of Canada. What do they think about the fact that those parts of those countries celebrate some of their native languages? And they're actually quite encouraged and quite enthusiastic about it. And so then you translate that here, and it gives them reason to pause and think a little bit. So I think a lot of it is about just taking those people with you along the way, and maybe the pace of change for some people has been too quick.
Have you...
It sounds like a reasonable argument, but I don't agree.
Personally, I think there's a fantastic way to bridge the gap. If that's what he's going for there, is he's trying to talk to those farmers who are like, okay, you saw it yourself, Magenta, when we drove down a few years ago from Christchurch to Dunedin. How many of those Stop Three Waters anti-Māori signs did you see on the main highway?
Yeah,
the majority of those were in his electorate. That's where you saw most of them. So that is the people that he has to try and win over to vote for him, the Māori guy in Timaru, running for national. So blue through and through.
I mean, strategically, he is playing the game correctly for his side.
Yes.
But also I would kind of add to his trying to use the Welsh as an excuse. The Welsh were who I was using as my like evidence and research around how to revitalize language, especially obviously to do with Te Reo Māori. One of the huge things is over there is that they have road signs in Welsh and in English. When they try to suggest doing that here in New Zealand, everyone lost their goddamn mind, as if we don't already have signs around that do have both English and Māori on them. They created the language, like the landscape, they changed things to allow for that revitalization, to incentivize, you know, using initiatives. So if we're going to compare ourselves to those places, then we should be doing what they're doing as well. Because I'm sorry, I don't really care if the people who speak English are a little uncomfortable that they're being taken on this waka a little faster than they like. Because guess what? My people were beaten and murdered out of their language. So at the end of the day, I couldn't care less. The revitalization of our culture and our language is fundamentally important. And it's really interesting you showed that, because I got an awesome positive video for the end of the show from Hana Rafiti Clark that kind of actually taps into some of these things. So yeah, well, I can understand. Yes, do I think that in some cases there needs to be spaces where people are a little more gentle with those who are coming onto this journey? Absolutely, because there's always going to be people who, you know, there's going to be lefties who get all like, oh my God, you mispronounced one Te Reo Māori word, you're a bad person. No, you're not. There are people like that, and that's who he's kind of talking about. But they're a minority. They are not the majority. And I think New Zealanders have been showing more and more that they are pro Te Reo Māori. They want to know about their history, because this isn't just Māori history. This is all of our history, you know? Te Tiriti ties us together. What happens to Māori impacts Pākehā, whether it's positively or negatively. You know, the English language that we speak and the diet, like, you know, the accents that we have is because the Māori language influenced us to change how we slightly pronounce our consonants and our vowels. Like, these things have influenced each other. We are connected whether we like it or not. And I think it is far more important to revitalize and to keep this you know, trajectory going, rather than having a few people feeling a little uncomfortable. Because guess what? It's really confronting to actually think about like what it means to be a Pākehā ancestor in this land. I have family members, like I found in the archives, what my original family members that came here in 1841, one of them boasted about murdering a rebel native in a skirmish here at Te Aropa. I am half colonizer, I am half colonized. Well, not even half and half, but you know what I mean. You know, it is a confronting thing to think about. It is shitty that we have to go back and make up for mistakes of the past. But it shows that we care about each other. It shows that we actually want to work together. And to be honest, I think there's a lot of Māori culture that can make our general culture that much better. The same way there's, you know, parts of every culture, I think, that can make people better humans.
Do you want to hear his answer to being perhaps a bit of a traitor?
Oh yeah, go on.
Seeing as you're basically hinting at it, so what's his answer to being? Is the correct word mamai?
Pukakohua, or mamai is like pain.
Oh, pain. Ah, sorry, different word. I think she does actually use that word. A word that he in fact uses in his. I'll play it through.
When you entered politics, you spoke about being called a sellout, even in Uncle Tom. Those were your words, not mine. What was that like, the impact of somebody questioning who you were? Was that mamai?
I think at the start, it's a bit jarring because you forget that all of a sudden you are a bit of public property and people have an interest in you and your life and your background and what you do and say. The more you go on, the less it impacts you. And I think I reflect on that stuff, and it sort of reinforces my worldview that you can't put everyone in a box, and you can't say that just because you're from background X you believe in value Y. So it bothers me less and less now. I think it probably reflects more on the people who say those kind of things and their worldviews than anything I do.
At the time you said that that's the beauty of this position, that you're able to go out and meet people and learn things, get involved with your constituents, Ngāi Tahu as well. So a couple of years on...
She also goes, into the Ngāi Tahu of it all. But that was James Meager retroactively responding to you from the future. Oh, wait, from the past. You're muted.
Yeah, there was some copium. There was some helicopium. Cool. He just described the process of compartmentalization and a lack of introspection and perspective taking and reflection. Like, cool, you don't let it bother you, but that's also because, again, I don't think he could, because he doesn't seem to fully actually feel the weight of what it means to be Māori, what it means to actually, like, he probably doesn't really feel that associated with that side of himself, Unfortunately, much like myself, like, I had gone to a point where, unfortunately, my dad left too, right? I had a lot of resentments built up over the years through the conflictive relationship that was me and my dad. That actually meant I got to a point where I actually low-key didn't like Māori. I hated hearing Māori talk about, whānau and aroha and all of that, because I didn't experience that from my whānau. However, that's what I did was I went on a journey. I learned more. I unlearned these associations that I had made, growing up. And I actually kind of took a look at it and I went, holy shit, this is a crazy thing to imagine. Like, I have, grandparents who were beaten, who went through horrible, horrible things just for being themselves. And that is something that obviously as a queer person, as, Māori, like, I understand in, like, my bones, in my soul. And I feel like his soul just doesn't understand that. And I feel sorry for him, to be honest, because I think that there's a lot of positive things that can come from confronting those types of things, and to actually acknowledge those things, whether no one's saying feel bad for everything your white ancestors did, but it's more have compassion for your whānau Māori who have systematically been diluted in bloodline, who have been completely detached. So I'm glad he can sleep at night, but cope. He has a Meager soul. I like that one.
I think this kind of also a little bit sums up how I'm feeling, perhaps more, but I can't translate the top part, I'm sorry, but unless this is literally a translation.
It is,
but
just
Meager needs only to answer to his whakapapa on these topics. This is for Kai Tahu to deal with, in my opinion.
100%.
And that's an interesting take, because we're about to go into his role as the Minister for the South Island, which is a fucking... I don't know why that's a portfolio, because... sure, the mainland, I guess, is all one. I don't know. Whatever that portfolio is. But anyways, so obviously that comes with being very, very interlinked with Ngāi Tahu or Kai Tahu, just local dialect. And he talks to, I guess, working alongside them, and I think there's a bit of that... I feel like it's I don't really know. I feel like it's a bit of that rubbing off of, like, you kind of have to embrace your Māori side, because, like, to work with Ngāi Tahu, it's kind of like inherently, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it. But anyways, we'll let him answer it, because I think obviously, I don't know, he'd speak for himself.
Within the South Island portfolio?
Well, they were obviously incredibly influential, incredibly important to our economic growth and also to our social network. So they've got a massive part to play in being drivers of jobs and incomes and housing and tourism opportunities and food production. They, like many other significant players, need to have a seat at the table when it comes to engaging with decisions makers like me about where are we going right or wrong on regulations, how can they better use their land, what is the impact of government policy on their young people, for example. So I think they've got an incredibly influential role to play, and I think people should embrace that and encourage that.
Partners or stakeholders?
So, there's probably people that are far more well versed on it. But as far as I understand, and kind of the way that I see Ngāi Tahu these days, is more of a, I guess for the general public, is they're kind of more of a corporate identity just hear me out in a ways. So they, like you were saying, they have a huge amount of land ownership, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And with that, they do things that are really good for Māori, but also because it's good for Māori, we know it's good for everyone. But very much so, like if you're the Minister for the South Island, you probably very much are dealing with Ngāi Tahu in a lot of different situations. So Mihi then asks, are they the partners or are they the stakeholders? Because, partners, te tiriti, partners with the government, Crown, te tiriti, Crown and Māori, but also stakeholders because we're talking about a commercial entity as well, the seat at the table and, making sure that they can flourish economically.
Stakeholders?
Both, it depends on the issue, right? So if you're talking at the core treaty settlement level, Ngāi Tahu and Tainui were the flag bearers in this space, and you've got to recognise the risk, I guess, they took in trying to lead that process. And all of those settlements have been legislated, and from memory, I can't think of anything that wasn't passed unanimously. Now that is us as a parliament saying that we are agreeing and putting this into law and giving it the force of law as to what our rights and obligations now are. So at that treaty settlement level, certainly it's a partnership where the law requires, and then there will be other levels around engagement where different property rights or different interests are engaged, and you'll have different levels of engagement in the same way that you would have with a lot of other communities or neighbourhoods or individuals.
There you go. So that's the part of the interview that I was like, okay, interesting. Then he goes into hunting and fishing portfolio, which I don't really care much for. But it is a big thing here in the South Island, just so you know.
Yeah.
Not everyone's from the South and they don't understand South. I'm from fucking Southland, okay? Hunting's an important part of our culture.
Yeah,
not me specifically. I grew up in the city, but
yeah.
Anyway.
The wider area, for sure.
So he goes into that, but then he starts to talk about his youth, Minister for Youth portfolio, which is where the interview really goes downhill. And you can really start to pick him apart because it's clearly a portfolio that he is very much all over, and it's very much close to his heart being a kid that grew up on a benefit. But similar to that of John Key, the way that he came out of it was work hard, pull yourself off by your bootstraps kind of mentality. That's why he shifted perhaps more right than perhaps some other people would, where they would be perhaps more like a Barbara Edmonds, for example, who also grew up with a large family on a benefit, but also pulled herself up by her bootstraps, but now works for Labour to make sure.
Yeah.
Well, then, there's also the polar benefit side of things as well. But Barbara Edmonds, I think, is an example of someone who had a very similar upbringing, but took a very different route, I guess, from there on. I think it's also another point, because there is that parallel with someone like John Key, is from I think it was a spin-off article that there was also a bit of a profile piece on him. It really started to paint the picture of the kind of guy that we're looking at now. So a 37-year-old now, but he very much talked about himself back in his uni days, where it was very much about the drinking culture and the partying culture and all of these things. And it starts to paint a picture of, this is why he's a national guy. It's the old boys club. He very much fits perfectly into the old boys club. And that, I think, is why he gravitated towards the National Party. It's that growing up in a more conservative township. Someone said that he probably identified more as Pākehā growing up than he did Māori. Probably
obvious.
I mean, he's in, I don't know, like I was gonna say not androgynous, but he's
ethnically ambiguous.
Ambiguous, thank you. He's ambiguous enough that you could argue either way and be like, he's clearly not Māori, but he's clearly not
spicy white.
Yeah, he's spicy white. You know, you can't just point your finger at him, sort of thing. Turns out, actually, I found this out as well while I was doing a bit of research. Simon Bridges, very much the same. He's also
I hate
Māori,
Simon Bridges.
But never would have pointed my finger. I would have been like,
oh really? Nah, yeah,
no,
that's fair.
Didn't even cross my mind. So there you go.
I think it's
so
because I'm from that area. I did live in Tauranga for a while as well, so.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, that's I guess more of a deep dive into how he thinks, who he is. A very interesting interview. For the sake of time, I won't go into the end of it because I think I know what Magenta's going to say. And it's to be fair, the last wee bit he is talking about those kids who are NEETs, who have been told to go get a job, the people that are on the benefit, 18, 19-year-olds who are on the benefit, who are about to come off the benefit. Nope, you're muted.
I just said playing their PlayStations.
Playing their PlayStations, yes. So he very much it's very much along the party lines, unfortunately, at the very end of the year. So it very much doesn't speak his own mind at the last wee bit. So he is being indoctrinated rather quickly and falling in line in that regard. But I know you all hate me for saying it. I don't mind the guy. I understand why Magenta, you have issues with him. I totally understand that internalized racism proponent. The guy is who the guy is. Maybe he's at the beginning of his reclamation journey. Maybe he'll change over time. Maybe working with Ngāi Tahu more closely as an MP might start to rub off on him in a good way.
Or he'll leave politics and all of a sudden he'll have opposite opinions.
Who knows? He might team up with Tama Pōtaka. Who knows?
Ooh.
He could lead the National Party. This could be a future for him. I don't know. But someone asked, would I sit down and have a cup of coffee with him? Probably. Because I can relate to him. Like, he grew up in a very similar situation to what I grew up in, so I can kind of see where he's coming from. Doesn't mean I'm going to fucking vote for him, nor am I going to endorse that you vote for him. But yes, I would have a cup of coffee and pick his brains about, who he is and why he thinks the way he thinks. Because
I mean, I would out of morbid curiosity.
Well, yes, exactly. Yes. I mean, let's be honest. If anyone offered me a coffee with any of the current sitting ministers, I would be like, fuck yes.
Of course.
I want to understand why you've made these decisions, because it baffles me half the time.
Let me look at your brain.
Yes. So I know a lot of you definitely will not understand him, and you most certainly are correct that there probably is a good amount of internalized racism. I think that's a fair criticism as to why he makes the decisions he is. Yes, he's part of National, which means he is complicit in the same shit that they're doing. But the way that I kind of come to it is that we're in an MMP structure. You're going to have National. Unfortunately, you're going to have ACT ministers and you're going to have New Zealand First ministers. I think James Meager, as far as shitty MPs go, he's kind of one of the ones that I wouldn't be mad to stay in there. He's not an ideologue. He's not pushing. He's kind of just riding the party lines, which are not the party that I... He's kind
it's literally in the fucking name. Also, just to be very clear, I can relate to him, but I still dislike the guy.
Yeah. But it's a different kind of relation.
Yeah.
Like, you understand it from a similar, I guess, ancestral background in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I was also like benefit kid, grew up more with my white people than my brown people. I get it. I used to be racist as.
Apparently I still am. I'm sure chat still can't grapple with it. But yes, I'm not mad that someone like him is in Parliament, but let's still not vote them back in. Also, if James Meager sees this, please jump on the show. I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Come have a coffee with us.
For the night.
Nah, fuck yeah, I'm there. I'll be good. I'll be good. Hey, I'll be good, you know. You've seen me push
I'm sure
back
you guys
when I
have
need
lots
to.
in common to have a chat about. I'll just be the mediator.
Just be a therapy sessions, like so. Let's go back to the beginning, buddy.
Journey?
Right? So your relationship with your mother and your father, how are those going?
Fascinating stuff. All right. Shall we get to some of the super chats and then?
I know I got a video to finish this. See, I've got heaps of good things lined up. We've got a Meager video lined up. I had a funny end to the Meager because it just happened to be. I didn't really obviously I hadn't seen the Mihi interview, but on my good old Instagram feed, I got this clip from 7 Days.
Oh my god, it's still doing that?
I love 7 Days. What is it with people who don't watch 7 Days, like religious?
No, I'm just surprised that it's still going. It's old as fuck, isn't it?
I mean, I've been watching it like consistently this whole time. Although they have had a bit of a rebrand now that they're sponsored by Burger Fuel. Which I actually kind of like the new color and design of it all. It's very nice. But they obviously have their Yes Minister segment, and James Meager went up, and Courtney Dawson put a very great question, which I believe should be at the beginning of.
So for hunting and fishing, does your government hate living fish as much as they hate poor people, or? So you're the Minister for Hunting.
Like, the fact that he didn't say anything. Like, their bro's brain, like, I could see it breaking in real time. It's just like, what I would say, isn't it, like, you know, just absolutely broken. And shout out to Courtney Dawson for that amazing grill. Love her.
Very well done.
Great. Yeah.
Very well done. Right, 2 weeks more. Three super chats. Did we show the drink when you hear the word caucus?
No, I saw that. It was so good. I mean, you'd get drunk way too quickly, dude.
Honestly, you just have to figure out what his buzzword is for the week and stay sober as best you can.
Oh. You would have been passed out by the end of that interview. Like, it's so bad.
Oh yeah. Mr. Arvid says 5 words in a kid's book is not bridging the gap. That's super fucked up. That's true. It's his government.
Yeah.
Can't deny it. Eric Rader for $20. Thank you. Just wanting Eames and Magenta's opinion on Simeon Brown and the Ministry of Health refusing to include cannabis THCV based products, which can help people with weight and eating issues despite being shown research from the US. Not surprised. It's national.
Yeah, they don't listen to data. We know this. And I mean, I am a little surprised that maybe, you know, David didn't do his libertarian fucking, you know, meet me in the middle for 2 seconds thing that he does, because again, he is a libertarian. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just disappointing the way that, like, cannabis in general is just being ignored for this country, because, like, let's be real, a lot of people are medicating with it already. They're just not getting it regulated. So, I mean, I think any chance to not include it is a missed opportunity. And hey, you'd think that they would do anything to try and make us fatties lose weight and shit. Or gain weight, I guess. For some people, it actually does help them lose weight. So, yeah.
Further to that, there was also $10 super chat, which says, just wanting to add, Simeon Brown being Minister of Health is a nightmare. Look at the way he dismisses overseas research and clinical trials done on medical cannabis for various health issues. It's telling. Yeah. This is also the guy who is very clearly anti-abortion.
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one thing that I'm really kind of not loving, is that there were kind of whisperings of people being a little worried about how many evangelical Christians are in the National Party. And like, we're seeing its influence, and that makes me really uncomfortable. Not because I don't like religion, but because I'm like, no, we're not America, okay? We shouldn't have to state separation of church and state. And I think the lines that they blur are dangerous. And I think, but unfortunately, it's in line with this authoritarianism, right-wing playbook. Like, they have to follow the playbook. And cannabis is an enemy.
Oh, you don't even need to get started. It's interesting. I was doing my little bit of research, especially when I started to think about the parallels between Meager and John Key. I went back through actually a lot of the ex-party leaders of National, and the common theme... What? Sorry, I just locked my computer. That's a new one. The common theme between all of them is their religious upbringing.
Yeah.
They are all... Every single one of them states that they grew up in a Christian or Catholic or some denomination household.
Mm-hmm.
Which I did not realize. But it's kind of like hand in hand.
Yeah, and I think it is something that we should kind of keep in mind and talk about a bit, because again, like this comment also notes, religion is the colonization tool. That's how they started. They started with the missionaries. They started with the schools that were run by the churches. And unfortunately, it was very effective, because Māori are a spiritual people, and religion
I am still here. Give me 2 seconds to take my jersey off.
Yeah, no, that's for Patreon only, isn't it? You got to pay to see that one. But yeah, I mean, I also just wanted to shout out these couple of this comment earlier, just before we move fully on. I like this one commenting on Meager. I've heard of the Great Replacement theory, but this guy's gone a step further to Indigenous rights and culture are actually colonizing us theory. And that's 100% it. I'm noticing this a lot from, I guess, the right wing and those in general. I feel like there are a lot of people who I think do get what colonization was and how bad like those things were, and they do think, unfortunately, that Indigenous people, if they get a little bit of, you know, their culture back, that they're just going to do the same, not really thinking about the fact that that's just not the way a lot of those Indigenous cultures roll.
Yeah.
All right, should we go some memes? Well, actually, we have some live memes. I was tagged in the Discord
live
while
God.
While the show was going, and I've had these open for a little while.
Did you guys make some fucking simp memes already?
Yeah, you know it.
Fuck's
Like,
sake.
I mean, you knew it was
Come
coming,
on.
and this one's kind of beautiful. What are you doing to our boy Donkey? And this is like, I hate it here.
Hate you all. You lot of the fucking ideologues. I'm just saying.
This is what you get for simping for the Kupapa.
Right. Yeah.
And then we also have this one, which is just funny. Chat, she's thinking about Meager and Pink again. Ems, I have to build a shed. So, hey, they reclaim it with that one, you know. I purposely placed those in that order. Don't worry, chat. But yes, A+. Chat is too quick with it, and I appreciate it. It is fun. What do we have in my slides? Oh, yeah, we got a few more. We got a few more memes in the PDF. Obviously, we had some guests since Chewy's still been away. So this is Tim back.
Oh, yeah.
Someone compared him to Buddy Buscemi, and so someone made this image, and you know, it doesn't actually look that wrong, eh? And then we had another comparison to Guy Montgomery, which I personally, I think these two could be long lost brothers or something, you know, maybe cousins. Only livable wages can prevent warehouse fires. Good PSA. Yes, this was from our conversation of the only Chris's, which someone actually had a really great post. This is the final emboss for New Zealand Parliament. Chris Christie! Could you imagine? Double Chris in one name? That's too many Chris's. Also, he's a horrible person. This is a terrible image, but it is a little too funny. I know Kiwis are doing it tough, but not everyone could be a landlord. And then obviously we had the, it's so good every time. He's literally the smirking emoji, and you can't get better than that. And then this was one of my favorite ones that we had from this week.
Oh my God.
Cocked out. Yeah, the detail that they've gone into is so good. Especially with, yeah, I know, right? I know I haven't been doing my memes of the week, but this is the meme of the week. I think it is beautiful. And if you're audio listening, you're missing out. Come hang out and have a look at our memes. And that's the meme PDF. We do have memes saved for later. Shall we need them? I've got video memes too.
Backup memes.
Yeah,
in case of emergency.
You know, this government's always making me have to think about how am I gonna save the vibes, guys.
So,
all right, where are we going now?
We're going back in time.
Yes, that's right.
We're going back to 2022. If you can cast your mind back to that god-awful post-pandemic time in which things were very uncertain.
The blurry years.
Those were the blurry years. The year that Jacinta stepped down and we all cried.
Yep.
And we were left with this hellscape. But it's important that we do, because I, as you do, got my Labour's Duncan Webb's little newsletter that he does, and pointed to a statement that was put out 2 days ago, reminding everyone that Labour had actually put through a plan, a deal at Marsden Point after it was closed down to help it become a fuel resilience location, plant, silos, stockpile. You're muted. I can't hear you.
I said actual forward thinking, using brain for future.
Yes. So I did a little bit of a deep dive. It took me actually ages to find this, because this had not been talked about really in the last wee while. There were a few articles, but they did not really pass my radar at all. Which, fair enough. There's been a lot of articles recently, especially about fuel. Most of them about what are the government going to do. A lot of it based around the Iran of it all, the Hormuz Strait of it all, as opposed to looking back and sort of pointing fingers, which this government's very good at doing. Blame Labour, blame Labour, blame Labour. But in all of that, I completely missed this. So, yeah, and it took me freaking ages to find the actual information. And while I was looking, I found an article from 2022 talking about this. So why is Marsden Point oil... Is this article, right? Oh, yes, definitely this one. So why is Marsden Point oil refinery closing, and should we care? And this it was a bit about the protests as well, which came from the protesters were those losing their jobs because of the closure of the plant. Fair enough. Which is kind of the opposition voice in all of this. But this is a great wee thing that I think the language in this is probably the most interesting part of it, right? Because we're looking at it from it's almost very apolitical, and it's looking at it from a point of view of pointing the finger at the corporation behind this, and the corporations and the oil companies and the fuel companies that actually decided to close the plant. Do not let them fool you. Labour did not close the plant.
Yep.
Reminding
this
you,
point thing, man.
Labour did not close the plant. The government did not own the plant.
Mm-hmm.
It was privately owned. The oil companies all got together and they said, we're closing it down because it's fiscally Not a great idea. There was calls for the Labour government, the government of the time, just the government in general, to buy them out and buy the plant as a bit of fuel security. But for whatever reason, based on the documents that showed it wasn't fiscally viable, they didn't. So the significance of our oil to our economy has seen protesters line up outside Northland's Marsden Point oil refinery, hoping to stop its decommissioning for the sake of securing fuel supply. So one of the arguments is you keep it open, it keeps another way of New Zealand having fuel, and they decided it wasn't financially viable. Labour's MPs and the refining company argue fuel supply has always relied on imports, and closing the refinery will not make New Zealand any more vulnerable than it always has been. The company, now called Channel Infrastructure, which was, we looked at a video that the Herald did with, I can't remember her name. She's like the finance person, but they had a walk around the plant with the CEO at the time.
Yes.
And they're now called Channel Infrastructure. But the company, now called Channel Infrastructure, but still partly owned by oil companies BP, Mobil, and Z Energy, has stopped refining after a strategic review. A reminder, the company stopped after a strategic review. So, will New Zealand's fuel security be at risk? Again, this article is from 2022. The country should not be relying on international refineries, which can come under geopolitical unrest, said an organiser of the protest. And there was a Whangarei-based social credit leader, Chris Leach, who also agreed with that. Again, 2022, this is a weird thing to read. 18,000 signatures argues the government should declare the refinery a national strategic asset and buy it off shareholders. Should the unthinkable happen and fuel imports stop, the country could at least refine oil extracted from Maui to run emergency services, he argues. But that is not the reality. According to the Energy and Resource Minister of the time, which was Dr. Meager Woods, the refinery has never been configured to refine Maui's oil, which is lighter and sweeter than imported crude. There is no fuel security issue with the move to full input model, and so there is no case to be made to declare the refinery a strategic asset. There are people that have put holes in this and said the full input model is also not fantastic. But they did change some of the settings, such as the making sure that we had the fuel supply on shore or on its way, and forcing fuel companies to always have a stockpile. So New Zealand's fuel supply has always been reliant on imports. The difference now is that we no longer import crude oil, and 100% of our refined fuel products come from overseas. The company, so this is Marsden Point Company, never asked the government intervention to keep its refinery going, and sourcing fuel from multiple refineries around the world can minimise risk. Independent expert advice confirms that a 100% fuel input model is more resilient to many disruption scenarios than having a domestic refinery, because it removes the single point of failure risk associated with refining. Interesting. In the UK invasion, obviously very pertinent at the time. No.
Control F.
No. No.
Interesting comment here from the chat, though. Apparently, concrete was poured down the pipes on the command of the private consortium, which is usual capitalist practice of ruining a plant so that it can't be nationalised. So,
this
way
is what
to
I wanted.
sabotage it on the way out.
So while Putaharakeke is concerned about the loss of jobs, the impact on the regional economy from the plant closing. Harding says the hapu is talking with Channel Infrastructure about the land's future. So fossil fuels were never going to be a sustainable source of energy for future generations. We have to start thinking about those other ones. That sentiment is shared by the MP Emily Henderson on a transition group for the refinery workers. With record high unemployment and high demand for skilled workers, the closure is not likely to mean massive unemployment issues for Northland, she says. What I'm interested in is how we set up alternative energy projects here that can accelerates and maintains the high value jobs that the refinery was able to create. What are the future options? Megan Woods is candid when asked about the future of the refinery, and said it could be used to create the likes of biofuels and green hydrogen, which is something that the CEO that we looked at a few weeks ago more recently has also said the same thing, that they're still in talks about trying to do this. To date, there are many unanswered questions as in regards to whether existing refinery assets could be repurposed for producing sustainable fuels, at what cost, and in what time frame. The Channel Infrastructure chief executive at the time said the site could be a potential green energy hub, with talks for more than a year, but the government's support is critical. And then it talks a bit more about the future of the plant. So there you go. So it was at some point owned by the government and then sold off. I won't go into the full history of that, but it's really interesting to read that 2022 article. Because it's funny how many of the parallels, and they're talking about the unthinkable, and how it's it is what it is. But so that was 2022, and they had sold it off. The Labour government at the time decided not to purchase it. They decided to go with a fuel security plan with holding stuff on shore. The next part of that, though, was the transition phase and transitioning to the transitioning the plant, re-skilling the people who used to work at the plant, all of these things. But unfortunately, those plans were supposed to kick in around 2024. The government, the current day, scrapped those plans.
Yep.
And the reason they scrapped the plans to do it is because they couldn't fit it into their budget.
And why couldn't they fit it into their budget? Because they gave money to landlords and to tobacco.
The other thing that they were going to do was to change the silos to, literally what we were talking about a few weeks ago, that article. It's changed the silos to change the plant to process biofuel, but also changing out the massive fuel tanks to hold more storage or specific types of storage, for example, jet fuel. And the government was supposed to put some money towards that, but the government of the time scrapped it. The government of today, scrapped it. And then, lo and behold, June 2024, old Shane Jones comes in.
Yep.
Says government making fuel resilience a priority after they scrapped it.
You reckon?
So they upped the number of days to hold, which is one of the things that they did. But Cabinet has agreed to the following measures to support improving New Zealand's fuel security. So policy decisions needed to finalise information disclosure regulations to support the minimum fuel stock holding obligation. This includes changes to the information disclosure regulations, etc., changes to how the information is verified and reduce cost to fuel importers, etc. Stop work on investigating government procurement of 70 million litres of reserve diesel stock, the equivalent of 7 days of normal use, and its storage and management through a long-term lease agreement. Cool. Investigate other options to increase New Zealand's diesel reserves from 21 days to 28 days of coverage. Do you know what they ended up doing?
What did they do?
Marsden Point to get a diesel storage capacity boost.
Yep.
After we had a massive fuel crisis, it's still ongoing. So the government is going to put more than $20 million towards additional diesel storage capacity at Marsden Point. The arrangement, funded through the Regional Infrastructure Fund, will support 90 million litres of storage at the import and storage terminal by recommissioning storage tanks that have been unused since the closure of the refinery in 2022. This is an ambitious but doable project which will help ensure New Zealand is well placed to weather the fuel supply issues New Zealand faces. He has been assured by Channel Infrastructure, which owned and operated Marsden Point, that it could get the tanks ready within 2 months. Because they were kind of already doing it, by the way, guys. We are acutely aware of the importance of petrol and jet fuel. It is diesel that is the lifeblood of our economy. We know we have a secure supply until the end of May. If the opportunities arise for New Zealand to secure diesel suppliers over and above what we are expecting, we need to be able to store it. I agree with all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, I just would have liked it to have happened a while ago.
Yeah, not the stop-start waste of money shit that they keep doing.
Do you want to see something that came out today? Because
Oh,
this gets really interesting all of a sudden. I just have to find it, though. Ah, here it is. Talking about Channel Infrastructure, right? $20 million boost to do some switcheroo of their tanks, which they were kind of already doing. 4:40 p.m. today. Channel Infrastructure refuses comment on ExxonMobil's New Zealand terminal speculation. Channel Infrastructure is refusing to be drawn into speculation on the company buying ExxonMobil's New Zealand bulk fuel terminals. The Australian newspaper reports Channel is emerging as a potential buyer for ExxonMobil's terminals across the North and South Islands in a deal potentially worth up to $500 million. Channel declined to comment on the report, which it referred to as market speculation. The company on Friday had a market value of around $1.2 billion. Channel has regularly cited the intention or the aim to expand beyond Marsden Point, and this would certainly do that. The question, I guess, remains then, would this come against the Commerce Commission? Are supposed to keep an eye on fuel prices and make sure that people don't pay too much at the pump. So while the Commerce Commission would likely have to look at any deal eventuated, because they would have a monopoly of sorts of the ports coming, the fuel coming in, Smith said it would probably not stand in the way if it was just for the bulk terminals. I think it would be a different situation if they were buying the petrol stations as well. So they'd be owning the fuel coming in. They'd be owning the fuel on shore, well, looking after it essentially, but they wouldn't own the terminals themselves, or the petrol pumps themselves, or the companies that distribute them, basically. But that I felt was very interesting news after I'd just been looking at a bunch of historical documents about this private company that we just gave $20 million to continue doing what they were already doing.
Yep. What a waste of money. What a waste of time. Just all to say Labour bad. Like, that's all it's for. And they're spending our money in very wasteful ways.
Whoa. Oh no. I think Magenta might also have the same hotkey, or their internet just cut out. Anyways, oh no, they come back. Magenta, what did you do? Did you press the button? Magenta, did you press the button?
Nah, that was my computer being mad at me because I need to clear space on my C drive. Don't mind me.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I had problems with it earlier today, but I didn't fix it, so... I'm an adult and I have to fix my own stuff, and sometimes I'm lazy.
I know. Alright. It's alright. I do have a criticism, though, of Labour. And that is, I don't think they did with the closure of the point, which clearly had some opposition to it, they obviously were closing, they were banning oil and gas, which, you know, a lot of these things led to a lot of job losses in certain sectors. Totally understand why people would be pissed off at the government for doing that. In doing the banning of oil and gas, you also kind of force a lot of those industries to start to transition. But what I have a criticism of them doing is not helping or doing enough to secure the transition of that, and not doing enough to secure the next phase. Not putting enough money into the sector to make sure that these things, that the transition would happen. They had a majority government. The Greens have talked at length about a Ministry of Works, a Green Ministry of Works, and bringing that back.
Yeah.
That is something that if Labour is serious about the transition and they want to make sure that these people in the, I guess like in blue collar jobs, right? These, I guess, I don't know what you would call them. I want to say they're dirty jobs, but that's not quite what I mean. I mean as in like mining and that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know, you got to help them.
Very physically intensive and hard jobs.
Yes, very difficult jobs, but also highly skilled jobs as well. They're very specific, and I think a lot of us would sort of turn our noses up at doing those jobs. So kudos to them. But you do need to help make sure that they have the training, and that training is secured, and those upgrades, those transitions are secured, so that a government of today, like the government of today, they can't just go and scrap it and fuck over the next generation of Kiwis.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, like Kiwi Forbes says, unfortunately, we don't have a viable alternative to things like diesel and all that. So I'm just sick of seeing this government literally, like, they did this with the ferries, essentially, you know? It's just stopping things, spending more money, gaslighting us into thinking that they're smart and good at their jobs. But they keep saying there's no money for things because, guess what? We gave it all away already. And it's just, it's depressing to see how much we've, I think we're just seeing how stripped off and bare the country is, like, when all this stuff is happening.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know, fam. A plan was there. They scrapped it because it couldn't fit in the budget. They didn't foresee the serious impact of doing that. And now they've basically reversed that decision, but at a much later date. And it's almost a little bit too little too late. Because could have been sitting pretty. But also, we could have transitioned a long time ago to reduce the impact on us. Countries have done it. You look over the ditch.
Oh, yeah.
Done a pretty good job at the solar uptake. Same.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we actually invested in solar, I mean, we've seen cool videos too of how solar panels and stuff can be put on, you know, water to keep water cooler, for helping other things. Like, there's so much cool tech, cool green tech that we could have if people would only realize that green tech has essentially been propagandized as weak, feminine, pussy bullshit that no real man would embrace. Like, it's sad. It's sad because I think we could be a lot more of a resilient country and actually just not have to, you know, be as adversely affected when everyone else is off having problems.
All right, those are my deep dives done for the day.
Nice.
No more.
Good.
I know we're coming back to this conversation.
I know, right?
Every fucking day for the next 6 months.
Always something with the fuel crisis going on. Did we want to... Should we save the Wayback Machine for next week? I reckon we'll save the Wayback Machine for next week.
Yeah, I think we need to do it proper.
Yeah, well,
that's an evergreen story, unfortunately.
So I got a couple last minute memes we can watch, and a couple of small good news stories in there.
Oh, they exist, do they?
Yeah, nah, I thankfully actually I had a bit of positivity on the feed at the moment. So some really cool things I've managed to find for us. I thought would be good for us on a Friday. So where am I gonna Oh, that's loud. Okay, that hurt my ears.
I can hear that through your headphones, Jesus.
Yeah, no, I'm going to mute it too because it's going to get us copyright for sure. All right. First of all, this is this is a bit of a meme, but it's also a bit of news that happened. As some of you may have heard, Hungary obviously have gotten rid of Orban after 16 years, and this clip's gone a bit viral of the new Hungarian Prime Minister just absolutely owning it on the dance floor. And I mean, I don't blame the guy. I mean, 16 years under the Orban regime. So, like, it's a big achievement, and it's fun to see him actually celebrating his achievement.
That is actually hilarious.
Right? And it's so wholesome and sweet. Very very heartwarming. We'll go here quickly next because I've been getting a lot of space-based videos recently, which I'm loving. Obviously, especially with the Artemis 2. And this was a really cool video.
Huge space news. Every dot you see right now, and it's hard to see them because there's so many that the phone is having a hard time picking it up. Every dot is a galaxy. Look at how everything is connected. After 5 years, more than 900 researchers across the world have completed the 3D map of the universe. Remember, every dot's a galaxy. They had a goal of seeing 34 million galaxies and quasars across 5 years. Quasars are incredibly bright, incredibly compact centers of active galaxies fueled by supermassive black holes. Using this instrument called DESI in Arizona, which uses 5,000 fiber optic eyes to observe 100,000 galaxies every night. It saw 47 million galaxies and quasars and another 20 million stars, which means DESI saw 6 times more galaxies and quasars than all previous measurements combined, creating the largest high-resolution 3D map of the universe ever made. I can't even show you the detail on the phone. You have to go find it and zoom in. So now, while it continues to observe the night sky, researchers are going to be working through this huge amount of data and hopefully learn something about dark energy, which makes up 70% of the universe. But people are going to be using this data for years and years and years and years and years. Huge space news.
Muted.
This one kind of I thought was really awesome. I don't have it queued up, but there was a really awesome clip from the woman who went on the Artemis 2 mission, and she was talking about that she had a really profound moment basically where she was staring back at Earth, noticing, you know, the immense vast darkness that surrounded it, and it made her realize that, like, we are all a crew, and the Earth is our ship, and that is something that connects us. And I mean, her
post-Artemis speech was just like
so good. So good.
A bit cheesy, but yeah.
Hey, I mean, I get it though. Like, I don't think any of us could truly understand what it would be like to really, you know, like, when you have these big things that happen to you that just change your perspective. Like, going around the moon, that's going to put a lot of life into perspective. And I agree, our ship is sinking.
Had a come to Jesus moment, those four. Fair enough.
Yes. And then, what have I got? Oh, yeah, we'll listen to Hannah real quick.
Yeah.
For our generation Hawaii Ho.
Hawaii Ho. Everything they tried to take from us, our reo, our tikanga, our mātauranga, is still here. Not because the system handed it back, but because our people taught ourselves again. Our reo, culture, and identity. Carved, sung, played, shared, and woven back together. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because our people chose survival. And that's what we've done. Survive. Legislation after legislation, designed to remove us, has only made us stronger. But survival was never the end goal. Survival isn't Hawaii ho. Our tupuna wanted our generation to thrive. But right now, we're facing another turning point. The very kaupapa they built, ko, kura, wānanga, the foundations of how we educate are under threat. An urgent Waitangi Tribunal claim has been filed, challenging the government's education reforms. Ahakoa ngā ākinga o te wā, he konei tonu tātou. We a generation...
Which I thought was obviously like... And I guess watching that video probably fired me up for a bit of our Meager conversation, to be honest, because I do think that, yeah, like, we have fought as a people to reclaim every tiny little drop we can get of our culture and our language. And I do look forward to, once we get through these hard times, living in a world where, you know, like we're currently starting to see it. You know, we've got Zoran Mamdani, a millennial mayor who's doing amazing things. We're seeing amazing Gen Z politicians coming up in our own country. Like, I do genuinely hope that once we get through these dark things and we keep working together, that we will get to a world where we can just exist and live and be and not feel like we have this existential weight of capitalism and colonization and everything that has been designed to break us down, break us apart. Like, the Kohanga Reo generation give me so much hope, and so do Gen Z in general, to be honest. There's a lot of good things that can come once we get these crotchety ones out of the way. And also just a really cool note that I can't remember if this is in English or not. No. I just realized it's Te Karere, it's not in English. But essentially, this is a really cool story about the fact that there is a kids book that's been put out that helps teach young boys that it's okay to do poi. Obviously, we all associate poi with women, which is ironic because poi were actually originally used as tools in which to limber up the wrists for battle, and were quite heavily used by men. Obviously now we know it in its context, but it's really cool to see that we, you know, seeing not only Māori culture, you know, thriving and having kids books in Māori, but also breaking down those kind of, I guess, gender structures in general that we've kind of, the boxes that we've put Māori culture into. We're kind of seeing those breaking away and people just being able to embrace them. And yes, the original pois were rocks as well, pretty hardcore. None of this soft cushion material and foam and plastic bags. The real stuff. But yeah, that was my... I've got one last one if you want to look at it, but I do see we're a little over time. What do you reckon?
Oh, I don't know. How exciting is it? Is it good news? Is it bad news?
It's cute gaming news. It's gaming based. I did that on purpose.
Okay. You have to be a quick cute gaming.
I'll put it on 1.25. It's very sweet though.
Nathan?
Don't ever call me Nathan in your life.
It's James.
Do you mean James from high school?
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yes, I'm not joking.
Bro, come out here. I'm not...
Where are you?
Are you? I'm upstairs. Bro, I have goosebumps.
Me too.
Bro, I'm about to start crying. I'm up here. What the... Bro, this is actually insane. How many years has it been?
So long. That's so funny.
What is it, like 10 years or something probably? Or when did I last see you?
I can't even remember. So long.
Oh my god. Remember all the we used to smoke?
I know, and stay up all night watching fucking Lord of the Rings Extended Edition. I was actually telling someone at work how we used to go to the internet cafe in town and just stay up all night playing like Warcraft.
Oh, James, James, I'm a fucking millionaire, by the way.
What
is that? Yeah.
Wow, let's go. Let's fucking go. That's the bet. You hit it at like the right time. I remember you were like, yeah, you were streaming out of your mum's literal closet.
You remember mum's closet. Remember Chico's and Fig Tree? Somebody just said in chat. What?
But yeah, it's such a sweet thing just to see. Like, it almost felt like they were running to each other IRL. It was so sweet. I just
in the middle of a gunfight.
Yeah, and especially the fact that, you know, he knew him back when he was the OG streamer with like 5 people watching his stream, and now his bro's a millionaire. I just thought that was a very wholesome little gamer story that we could end on.
That's pretty cute. I love that he recognized him by voice.
I know.
That's like, yeah, that's crazy.
Right. That's how you know they were really good friends.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's 10 past 11 on a Friday. We need to get the hell out of here. These 2-hour shows.
We'll get in trouble. We stayed up too late. It's past our bedtime.
It is past our bedtime.
I did have a couple of quick ones I wanted to show. Apparently, our subscriber count is 0.4% of New Zealand's population. Let's fucking go. Let's get 1%. Can we be the 1%? Oh, hell yeah. Also, sorry for saying pull out the pink. I do apologize, but I reckon it's gonna. Also, yes, I've seen the Around Logo memes, and YouTube took them down.
Fuck.
And yeah, apparently there's an oil refinery on fire in Australia. And no, I have not seen Project Hail Mary, but I will actually venture to try watch it, because I have heard there's an awesome song, New Zealand song in it. But yes, I will put that on my list of to-dos, maybe this weekend.
Fantastic movie. You have to see it.
Yeah, no, everyone's been talking about it, eh?
Good.
Can we be bigger than the Opportunities Party? I mean, why not? BHN Party, let's fucking go.
Also, if you're a fan of Avatar The Last Airbender, Google it.
Wait, what? What the fuck? What's happening?
I'll play the credits, but if you're a fan of Avatar The Last Airbender, go Google it.
Oh, actually, no, I did hear about this. Fuck yeah.
Someone keeps getting rid of my layouts. It's not okay.
It wasn't me. I don't touch shit when I come in here.
Someone does.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All have a lean either this way or that, and will be analyzed by what you impact. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
See y'all guys next Friday for more Bright Hairy News. Bat and Chewy should be back with you on Monday at 9 p.m. Don't forget, you've also got Tanya Waikato with Maria Mino Kapakingi on Sunday at 7 p.m. Do not miss that. That'll be a fantastic interview. And yeah, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching, and yeah, be good.
Yeah, and if you want to watch me on Monday, 6:30 p.m. till 9 before BHN. And yes, make sure you're there for Partai with the Pollies, because you can ask Maria Mino Kapakingi questions. It's amazing. Keep cool to after school fun. Love yous. Have a good weekend.
Bye.